All right, so ready to dive in. Today, we're heading to the Himalayas.
Oh, sounds adventurous.
Well, sort of. We're time traveling, actually, back to Tibet.
Tibet. Fascinating.
Before Buddhism.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, most people, when they think of Tibet, they picture, monks and monasteries.
The Dalai Lama, prayer flags.
Exactly. But there's a whole history there.
Mm-hmm.
Before all that, a whole different world. And we're going to try to unearth it using this article from the Athena Review.
So we're going full-on archaeologist today.
Exactly. Our guide is this archaeologist, John Vincent Palezza, and he's found over 1,400 pre-Buddhist sites.
Wow, 1,400. That's incredible. And all in Upper Tibet.
Upper Tibet, yep. It's not the lush, green valleys people imagine.
No, much more rugged, high altitude. Think Himalayas.
Right, exactly. And this period, before Buddhism.
It wasn't a unified empire or anything. More like scattered settlements and communities.
And Palezza, he calls this the megalithic culture.
Megalithic, so like Stonehenge. Big stone structures.
Exactly. Big stone structures. That's a key feature here. And the timeline for this whole period is still being debated, which makes it even more,
Mysterious.
Yeah, mysterious. Okay, so Palezza finds all these different types of structures. He's got residential structures made of wood and stone, showing how they adapted to
A very harsh climate.
harsh climate. Yep. Some even had animal pens, so maybe.
Herding, livestock.
Livestock, yeah. Okay, then there are the monumental structures.
Now, this is where it gets interesting.
Right. This is where it gets really interesting. We're talking large platforms, pillars, enclosures,
Clearly not just practical buildings. This suggests something more.
rituals.
Maybe. Social hierarchy, perhaps? Even astronomical observations? We don't know for sure, but...
It's fascinating to think about. Okay, so we've got homes, we've got these mysterious structures. What else?
Tombs.
Ah, yes.
Tombs.
Death rituals, obviously a big deal. They've got cists, which are like stone-lined graves, rectangular enclosures, and some even have, wait for it, vertical shafts. Vertical shafts. What, going straight down?
Straight down. Why? What were they connecting to? We can only guess.
Okay, hold on. We've got one more type of structure. Cave constructions.
Oh, cave constructions. This is cool.
So Palezza finds red ochre paintings in these caves, depicting Bon deities. And these paintings, they predate the 9th century A.D.
Wow, so before Buddhism, the Bon religion. We should probably talk about that more later.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we got all these scattered sites, right? How do we start to make sense of it all? Well, there's one site in particular, Yulkambu.
Yulkambu, I've heard of this.
It's massive, like
Sure.
10,000 square meters, and it's got it all. Tombs, a fortress,
And those standing stones.
the standing stones.
Yeah, so Yulkambu is like a snapshot of pre-Buddhist society.
A snapshot, yeah. Okay, we're going to have to dig into that more, but first, let's take a quick break. So Yulkambu, it's like a mini pre-Buddhist Tibet all in one place. Got those tombs, a fortress, and what were those again?
Standing stones, or sometimes called megaliths.
Yeah, the megaliths. They're pretty mysterious, aren't they?
They really are. Imagine you're trekking through this rugged landscape, and suddenly you come across these massive stones just standing upright. Some of them, like 12 feet tall.
Yeah, it's like, who put those there
Yeah.
and why?
Exactly. That's the big question. Some think they represent deities, or maybe ancestors, places where they would,
Have rituals.
Yeah, rituals. Others think they were used for astronomical observations, tracking the stars, the seasons.
Well, they were definitely in tune with nature, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Did Palezza find anything else near the standing stones?
he did. Pottery fragments, stone tools, even some bronze and copper pieces.
Bronze and copper. Now that's interesting.
It suggests they weren't completely isolated, that they had trade networks.
Ah, so they were connected to the wider world.
Seems like it. And getting those materials, bronze, copper, that would have been essential, right? They couldn't find everything they needed just in that environment.
Right, it shows how resourceful they were and how they adapted to this challenging landscape.
Definitely. Okay, so we've got the standing stones. We've got evidence of trade. What about those enclosures? Remember those?
Yeah, the big ones. Some were like residential areas, right?
Right. But some, especially those on hilltops, with defensive walls.
Ah, so maybe not just homes.
Maybe not. It suggests conflict.
Protection.
Yeah, protection. Resources were scarce, right? You need to defend your livestock, your food stores.
It makes you wonder, what was life really like back then?
Well, it certainly wasn't easy. But in the midst of all that, they had a rich spiritual life. We talked about the cave paintings, right?
The Bon religion.
Uh,
Right, we should definitely talk more about that.
It permeated their whole worldview, how they saw nature, death, the afterlife.
So tell me, what do we know about the Bon religion? What did they believe?
Well, it was very shamanistic. Their world was full of spirits, good spirits, bad spirits.
Spirits everywhere.
Everywhere, in the mountains, the rivers, the trees.
It reminds me of, a lot of indigenous cultures, that
Yeah.
deep connection to nature.
And they would do these rituals, make offerings to appease the spirits. Imagine a ceremony at the foot of one of those standing stones.
Trying to ensure good fortune.
Exactly. So they were practical, yes. They had to be. But they also recognized something bigger than themselves, this spiritual dimension to their world.
And that spiritual dimension was tied to nature, respecting nature, understanding its rhythms. Something we could probably learn a lot from today, I think.
Definitely.
So Buddhism comes to Tibet. What happens to these, pre-Buddhist Tibetans? Do they just disappear?
Well, it probably wasn't that simple. It's more likely that some converted, some held on to their Bon beliefs, and then there's this blending, over
A
time.
merging of cultures.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
rarely a clean break. History is messy. And in Tibetan Buddhism, you can still see traces of those Bon traditions, even today.
Wow, that's fascinating. So it's like these ancient beliefs, they never really went away completely.
They adapted, they endured, which is pretty remarkable when you think about how challenging life was in Upper Tibet. I mean, even now.
Oh, yeah. Harsh climate, limited resources. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
But was there, conflict?
Yeah.
Actual fighting over land or resources?
There isn't a ton of direct evidence of, huge battles,
Yeah.
but those fortified structures,
Right.
the ones up on the hills,
They make you wonder.
right, they had to be protecting themselves from something, maybe different groups clashing over, grazing land. Or...
Yeah, Blissa did find arrowheads.
And he did. Now, could have been for hunting, of course, but...
Yeah, maybe not always.
And the way some of these sites were positioned,
Yeah.
Narrow access points, defensive walls, it definitely shows strategic thinking, they had to be
It
prepared.
wasn't a peaceful paradise.
Right.
Survival wasn't easy.
No. But amidst all that, they still found ways to connect with something bigger than themselves. Remember that cave painting, the one with the lion?
Oh, yeah, that was so striking.
It's thought to represent a Bon deity, a protector. And it reminds us that for them, the spiritual world, it wasn't just some abstract idea, it was real. Those mountains, they were alive with spirits watching over them.
It's almost like they had this sense of awe about nature, a reverence that we've kind of lost.
Yeah.
But for them, respecting nature, understanding it, it was key to their survival.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the most important things we can learn from them. They understood that connection,
Yeah.
the delicate balance of things.
It's been amazing, hasn't it, this whole journey back in time, unearthing this lost world. And the thing is, there's still so much we don't know.
Oh, yeah. Every discovery leads to more questions. It's what makes archaeology so exciting.
Well, I'm definitely inspired to learn more about the Bon religion, about all of this.
There's a lot out there. Books, articles. You could even watch a documentary.
And of course, a big thanks to Athena Review. Without this article, we wouldn't even know where to start.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
And to all our listeners, thanks for coming along on this deep dive. Who knows what other lost worlds are out there just waiting to be discovered. Until next time, keep exploring.